Good morning, everyone. So Trezzy's not here today, so I'm gonna unsuccessfully try to fill in as the MC. I don't think anyone can live up to him.
You're gonna do great.
He's pretty good. So first, I guess welcome everyone back. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the time off. Got to spend some time with their families over the holidays. I know for myself it was good to refresh and spend time with family. So glad everyone made it back today. First, we always like to thank our sponsors. So Dream Bake for the space and the coffee, Starting Block upstairs for their continued support of our event. One note we want to make is next week, it is on the schedule, but Social Media Breakfast takes over this room. I think it's going to be quarterly they're doing it, right? Is it quarterly?
It's inconsistent.
Okay.
They have a January also, but not on March.
Yeah,
It's
so
gonna happen
we
like 10
have it on
times
our
throughout the year.
calendar that Social Media Breakfast is taking over this room over some intervals over the year. So we're just considering that to be our event for the week. So I would encourage everyone to come check it out. I have not been able to make one yet, but I'm going to try to get here next week. I know from some of the people in our audience that go, it's another good event just to learn some different things. The one difference with that is it is free, but they do ask you to go to their website and register that you're going to come, so you get a free ticket to it. So if you're interested, go to the website, register, and come. So that will be our event for next week. So we won't have a presenter. So I think that's the one note.
I think that is, yep.
I guess as always, if you're interested in presenting, we're always looking for presenters. I know our pipeline's looking good right now, but if you're interested in presenting, we'd love to have you present your idea. If you have a friend, a colleague, someone else that would be interested in presenting, send them our way. We're happy to let them know kind of what this is, and we'd love to have them. Really, we're looking for anyone, right? It's an open community. Anyone that has an idea, a business. We don't care what it is. We want them to get up here to present what they're doing, so hopefully we can give them some good feedback. So I guess I'll start off with my introduction. My name is Joey Crane. I'm one of the co-organizers of 1 Million Cups. In my day job, I work for the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation as a technology investment manager. And what that means is I help early stage companies. So run a couple programs that are geared towards technology-based companies, but we're there to help anyone that has an entrepreneurial idea.
My name is Josh Helling. My firm, Rootstock Partners, builds software products and works with entrepreneurs and executives who are trying to get a software product strategy right.
I'm Kirk Peterson, co-founder of 32 Auctions, a platform for hosting and managing silent auction fundraisers.
Steve Claude, another co-founder of 32 Auctions.
I'm James Kidman. I have Calls on Call, a shared reception service.
I'm Tom Rollard. I'm a co-founder of Vehroot. We're a group of people that love cars, but not the technology.
John Held, Mass Fire and Rescue Training Products.
I'm Keith Fuller, founder of All About EX, which is a service that helps startups handle people stuff.
Natalie Yar, reporter with the Capital Times.
Dennis Barnum, Merlin mentor, recovering serial entrepreneur and investor, but about to jump back into the fray with a couple of opportunities.
Both those opportunities will present, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Nate Shields, got a little tech startup in the education space.
I'm Derek Kembler. I'm founder of Field 59, and I'm also a digital media technologist.
Chuck Sarah, patent and trademark attorney at DeWitt Law Firm.
Peter Cabby, wealth manager at Merrill Lynch Bank of America.
I'm DP Knudten. I'm a collaborator, creative. That means I collaborate with people, with small businesses, people, etc., on everything, marketing, branding, etc.
Are you a lifestyle? Are you an author?
No, that'd be Dan LaCloche.
Well, I know that, but I mean, you kind of have like a similar.
I'm not a lifestyle brand, but I am a personal brand.
Okay. Are you an author?
I am. Yeah, I wrote a book. I wrote a book. Did you know that?
Can you tell us just briefly?
Yeah. Well, it starts.
Rachel's a podcast, right?
Yeah, and a podcast. Yeah. Oh my God. And I get a ration of crap from everybody.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
Okay, Michelle Jolly, Unifying Wellness. It's a unique wellness benefit plan coming to Madison, and the founder is actually going to be in town next week. So if anybody wants to hear about a new type of wellness model, it's Thursday. We're going to be over at Bonfire. You can give me your card and I can send you the e-bite link. After that, hear more.
Good morning. I'm Jesse Russell, president of Big Picture Research and Consulting. We offer data science as a service, mostly about bringing diverse stakeholders together around data to find meaning in it.
That's more impressive.
I'm an accounting type. I work for Baker Tilly. My name is Dan Andrews.
Hey, before we forget, and things over to the presenter, since Tracy's not here to remind us, please remember to, if you haven't yet, download the 1 Million Cups app and register so we can keep track of it.
All right, so we'll pass it over to Tom with Vehroot. So Tom, the floor is yours.
All right. I'm Tom Robillard, here to discuss Vehroot with you. Before we get started, though, I have a few questions for all of you. By a show of hands, how many people use their phone in the car? You connect it to a screen, you use it for music or navigation.
Never, that's dangerous.
We'll get to that. Okay, we'll talk about that. Okay, more specifically, how many people use their phone as the main screen in your car? Meaning, it's up on your dash, in your center console, it's pretty much your main source for nav, music. Okay, and the people that answered that, can you tell me why? Why do you use your phone?
Because it's easy. It's the user interface is something I use every day, so the friction is very minimal, and it has everything I need, and I can preload it as I'm walking to the car. I can type in for maps or things like that. So that's a handy feature as well.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to tell me?
I drive a vehicle from the year 2000, so it doesn't have other screens or interfaces.
You might find that's a benefit.
Yeah, it's working well with me.
Okay. So before I really talk about Vehroot and what we're doing, I think it's important to first talk about why people choose to use their phone in the car. So early this year, last year, 2019, the Wall Street Journal published an article that talks about vehicle technology in its current state. And to summarize that article, they basically say that vehicle technology is pretty terrible. There really isn't a single vehicle manufacturer that is doing a good job. And whoever solves this problem stands to make a lot of money. I'm just going to read one sentence from that article. BMW has worked to improve its own system since it surveyed its customers in 2015 and found that no one was using the expensive multimedia displays designed by the automaker, turning to their phones instead to play music and pull up directions. And by expensive, these screens add between $3,000 and $10,000 to the price of the car. So once people figure that out, that they spend thousands of dollars for something that they don't ever intend to use, they're getting pretty frustrated. So they did that survey in 2015. It's worth mentioning every automaker was pointed out. Toyota, GM, Ford, BMW, everybody. And they're all aware that people are turning to their phones. They need to do something about their technology. And the article kind of ends on the note that the automakers are going to spend a lot of money and they're going to solve this problem. So what are the automakers doing? Well, I get just about every car magazine that comes out. And I walk the lots of salespeople hate me. And I follow pretty closely what's going on with automotive tech. And just this weekend I got this magazine. It is Innovation. It's a publication from the Consumer Technology Association. And the Consumer Technology Association does a very good job using a lot of technical data for forecasting technology. The phones that are coming out next year, the TVs that are coming out next year, vehicle technology, pretty much everything technology. You can get a really good idea of current trends from Consumer Technology Association. So when I opened this magazine on Sunday, there's what I think is a very, very good summary of where automotive tech, the path it's currently on. And here we have the car cockpit of the future. So I think the automakers have determined that if you make the screen bigger and you make the system vastly more complicated and expensive, then problem solved. And this leads me to believe that automakers aren't asking, and other companies too, like Intel that are working on this sort of stuff, they aren't asking a very important question. And that question is, why do people use their phones in the car? Here's some reasons why people choose to use their phones in the car. Real high level, I'll try not to get too far down into the weeds. As you mentioned, common interface. This is a big one. Apple, Android, even LG, Samsung, we get used to an interface and we love it. I have a story just from last week. I was with my son in the car. He's 27, he just became a firefighter. He's doing very well, he's got a baby on the way, but he doesn't have disposable income. He's not quite at that point. And he's telling me that his Samsung phone needs to be replaced. And I said, hey, I just bought this LG phone from, this is the V40. It was LG's flagship phone just a few months ago. It's an $1,100 phone. It's at Best Buy right now for $350 unlocked. Super good deal. You need to go buy this phone. And he says, no, I'm going to get the new Samsung phone. And I said, why? And he said, well, I know how it works. So I wanted to say to him, look, you're going to spend 3 times as much money for a phone that's not as good. The LG interface is better. That's what I wanted to say. But what I really said to him was nothing. Because I know that arguing with him about the interface that he's chosen is an argument I can't win. Advanced AI, that goes along with your interface. I can ask it to drive me to the nearest gas station or a restaurant. I can ask it silly questions. I can say, how many children did Genghis Khan have? Or when did Abraham Lincoln die? And it can tell me. And I use it a lot in the car. Anytime my youngest kid asks me a question, I'm pretty much always alone there. Modernization. With this new phone, I just got a much better screen. The GPS works better. The audio sounds better. It charges faster. Just in 18 months, I've made a huge jump with the tech in my car. Huge. And that dash that we just saw, the car cockpit of the future, there's nothing there that's selectable, upgradable. Anyway, speech to text. That, I have a system in my Jeep that if I ask it to call my mom, it'll bring up settings for Bluetooth connection, or speech to text just doesn't work. And I think that's a common story in almost any vehicle. And lastly, connected car. You know, you bring your phone into the car, you're live streaming your traffic data, your car's essentially connected. The solutions that automakers are giving us today really take data from the phone. So they'll take your app data, they'll take your contact list, of course your internet connection, but they're not giving anything back. So they're really not progressing toward connected car. If you think of connected home, whether it's cameras, smoke detectors, thermostats, garage door openers, refrigerators, and all these different things, that revolves around this. Our mobile device is our connected home, but connected car just doesn't really seem to be on the horizon. So these, high level, are some of the reasons that people choose to use their phone. And automakers can't compete with any one of these things. With the tech that they're putting in the car, they just can't compete. So if they were to ask that question and come to terms with this, the next question that they should ask is, how do we make it safer to use the phone in the car? I just drove back from Milwaukee last night with a buddy of mine who got a new Ford Ranger pickup, and it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and so his phone's plugged into the dash. He must have picked up his phone 10 times. His maps were up there, but he still, I would argue that Android Auto and Apple CarPlay as they stand today are less safe for a lot of people than more safe. And as something that's not part of the car, it's separate from the car, we're reaching over like this and we're looking at it, some of us are trying to type, it's just not safe. So how do we solve this problem? How do we make it safe to use your phone in the car? We have the answer. And that is, replace that screen in your car with your phone. Not try to integrate it. Think how silly this is. We're taking the latest and greatest hardware and software. We're tethering it to a screen, this dusty, cobwebby, old, crappy screen, and we're trying to manage this better hardware and software from that screen. It won't work. So, replace. It's that simple. Replace the tech in your car with your phone. So to that end, at Vehroot, we've created a hardware platform we call the Shelf. The Shelf allows you to use any size or brand mobile device in the vehicle center dashboard. It's very simple. You just set your device there and go. It provides wireless charging if you're using a phone, side charging otherwise. It connects, an important thing to understand is it connects both audio and data into the vehicle. So it makes your device part of the car. You can manage your device from your vehicle steering controls, from the buttons that are here, and one of these buttons is a dialog button. When you press that button, it brings up Siri, Cortana, Google, Alexa, whatever your device AI is triggered. So what we've really achieved here, I won't go too deep into features, but please ask me if you want to hear it. What we've achieved here is a means to get the phone out of your hand. It's out of your hand. There's no reason to pick up your phone because you can manage it. I mean, you might touch the screen occasionally, but you now can use the phone, and we bring data from the car to the phone. So the phone really becomes part of the car. There's no other solution out there that is even similar. And we've got a lot of IP, like on the wireless charging, RF shielding, and a lot of really cool stuff. So our customers, our dealers and distributors, we've set up a pricing model, $399 retail, and we'll work with like Best Buy, AMS, Radio Doctors, Flint Audio, if you're familiar with them here in town. A lot of people ask me, do people still go in and get their stereo replaced in their car? And yes, they do. There's 600 mobile electronic install shops just in LA. Out on the West Coast, it's a much bigger thing. Here, there's at least 5 shops that I've worked with, like the ones I just mentioned. So how will we get those customers? Well, we just went through the G-Beta program last summer. And the 2 main objectives we had were 1, to get customers, and 2, to get funding to build our pilot inventory. So right away, Jenny in the G-Beta program says to me, you guys need to put a pre-order link on your website. And I said, well, Jenny, I don't want to do that because I don't want to send the message that we'll have inventory available. What we really need to do is get funding first, and then we'll put the pre-order link on there. And she said, well, that's fine, except until you gauge interest, and until you have orders, you're not going to get funding. And I said, well, I can't argue with that. So we did. We put the pre-order link on the website, and a really cool thing happened. Really unexpected, honestly. Within the week, this reservation link showed up on at least 5 websites that I could track through Google Analytics. One of them was a popular mobile electronics blog called CE Outlook. And in one 24-hour period of time within that week, we had all of our pilot inventory claimed. It was pretty cool. And here's some of those people. Vox Electronics is the largest distributor of mobile electronics in the world. They are ready to sign a PO with us once we can give them a delivery date. Directed Electronics, they are the largest distributor of mobile electronics in Australia, assuming they're still there. Might have lost a few customers there recently. Big 5 Electronics still has our link up on our website and their distributor. So here's just a small number. We have over 30 that came in so far. Dealers and distributors that are interested in our inventory. So we've got customers. There's 4 founders of the company, including myself. My background is in aviation and data communications. So by day, I maintain the data network for the power grid here in the Midwest. Prior to that, I was an aviation engineer. I assembled aircraft, and that's when I started thinking about how we would interact with our cars as they became autonomous. I've seen that coming for over 20 years. And it's got to be better than what we have in aviation, because nobody's going to take a 30-day course to learn how to use the software in the car, and we don't want a Boeing story, so we definitely need a better solution than what's there. Sean Trice's background, VP, is similar to mine. He works for the largest implement dealer in the Midwest, and he's seeing these old tractors come in, and they're replacing the steering columns, and now it's a self-driving tractor. So for industrial and agriculture, they're doing a lot of really cool retrofitting on vehicles that we're just not seeing in regular transportation today, but we got our eye on that. Oh, actually, I should talk about this other guys. So Ben Fisher, he by day manages prototyping for Trek bikes, and he has brought just rock star industrial designers and suppliers to our small startup through his contacts at Trek. And John Lindahl has 35 years experience in automotive electronics, and it's under John's guidance that we're building automotive grade electronics and just really good quality hardware. So the second goal we had with G-Beta was to get funding, and going through that program, I told everybody we're looking to raise $1.8 million. $1.8 million will give us 3 years of runway. It will allow us to go right from pilot production into full production, and I think the most important thing that I really didn't mention at all ever though is it's the only fund round raise we need to do. After this raise, whoever comes in with that money owns almost half the company, and there's no dilution. But the feedback I got was that raising $1.8 million here in the Midwest, especially for hardware, is not really attainable. I'm hoping to prove people wrong with that, but I also can't ignore good feedback. So $525,000 is where we're at now. That'll get us through seed stage. That'll allow us to build our pilot production inventory, get our product on the market, prove ourselves as a company, and begin to define our market. My full-time job will be to immediately go into a Series A funding raise, but it'll get us going. So we have a convertible note subscription agreement drawn up that I'd love to talk to anybody about if you're interested. But also feedback I got through G-Beta was that people investing would want equity. That's fine. We're a C corporation here in Wisconsin. We have stock. We can do that too. So the path we end up on for funding really will depend on who the lead investor is that comes forward. And it's worth mentioning too, I work with Joey. We're a QNBB here in Wisconsin, so we've got that tax good. But if you don't have $2 million, that's fine. We still really could use everybody's help. Right now, our social media is kind of just getting started. If there was anything I said here that you found interesting, that you agree with, please follow us on Facebook, connect on LinkedIn, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can also reserve a shelf online, subscribe to our newsletter. Just any of this stuff will help us tremendously to convince an investor and also convince our future customers that we're legit. So that's our ask here. Great. And I love to answer questions, so if anybody has any questions, please.
Yeah, Thomas, thanks. Raise your hand. And
oh yeah.
Does it work with backup cameras?
Okay, it does. We need to get our app out there to do that though. So we're doing that. We have it so that when you put the car in reverse, it brings the backup camera up on your phone. So the hardware's there to do it. We just don't have the software. So we need to go immediately into app development once we get funding too. Let me start over here. Yes.
Just following up on that, some of the other services that the in-car system does is like vehicle status,
yes.
Tires, whether they're properly inflated. Do you plan to take over all of that also, so that it's a complete replaceable screen?
Yes.
Okay, so everything that we have on our car now will go through your system essentially?
Yes. So what I try not to do is get really too nerdy, but I can't help it. What we've really created here is a communications router in the vehicle. So we can pick up any protocol in the vehicle and translate it into a common protocol called UART. And we can develop apps on everything that's happening in the car. We're pretty excited about it.
Just as a follow-up, when I get to the point where I can buy my toy car, which is going to be a 66 Volkswagen
okay.
Big in the store, I can put it in that car with that system, and it would essentially work.
As long as it, so we make this a standard double bin size.
I'm sorry?
So the size of it is what they call double bin. So it's an opening this size or larger.
Okay.
This is single bin here. And with the hardware we have today, probably not. You probably have a single bin or a smaller opening in your dash. But we're planning to develop hardware in the future that will work with single bin. So today, no, tomorrow.
That doesn't go on top of the dash, that goes in?
This goes inside the dash. Yep, it's actually wired into the car.
It's kind of like the old school, I remember when I got my first car, the first thing I did was, like you said, go buy a new CD player and put it in it, right? And
yeah.
Same thing. Take out the old one and pop that in.
What is the size of the replacement audio market? Because obviously, right now, it looks like you're designing this to be a product that is your brand and everything else, where it could easily be white labeled as Ford or Chrysler or Blaupunkt or whatever. Do you plan to make this, is the goal to make this its own brand product and replacers would be your market, or?
Starting out, we're trying to build a brand. Starting out, and we're targeting aftermarket. But this would really benefit the automakers too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they can develop their own tablet, essentially, that's physically attached. And this faceplate on here, it's just 3 screws to pop it on. And this comes out, and you can change the face. And we've got a faceplate in design that'll hold 2 phones and faceplate. You can get an American flag faceplate. You know, you can really customize it. For automakers, what they can do is develop all their own software, but make it so that the consumer can just take that screen off and put another screen on.
That's maybe the real appeal to me. I get a new iPhone, I don't even have to think about it, I put it on, it works. Is that, I mean, are you going to have version issues every time a new product is or a new version?
No, that's the real beautiful thing. So when a new phone comes out, it's just a Bluetooth connection. We're just sending data over Bluetooth and providing a way means of securing the phone to the dash. It works with anything. It'll work with anything. And like, let's say Ford develops an operating system people like, or somebody buys a car and they like the tech that's in the dash. With the way we're designing the technology, they could take that software out and put it in another car and use it in it. So I really think it would appeal to automakers. So yeah, we're going after aftermarket today, and there is a good market there. You talk to any of the businesses here in town, and they're busy. They're doing a good business. Best Buy, in fact, is booked 3 months out. If you want to get a stereo installed there right now, you can look on the calendar. They're booked there, doing very well.
So your earlier comment hinted at there's no app component today. It's exclusively hardware. So if I'm understanding them, the buttons that would be on the device are just sending commands over an established, Bluetooth-based command interface to the phone, like I saw in the mock-ups.
Exactly.
Or do you envision going beyond that to having like an application-specific API that will do things like build add-on apps? I mean, if you describe yourself as a router, right, or are you exposing them in a different protocol I can talk to from an app to build other things?
Absolutely. So
that's very interesting.
We would really like to make an app. I don't talk about it much because we don't have it. But we could build our own app that competes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The difference being we're not just passing audio, we're not just passing app data, we're actually connected to the car. We can develop apps based on what's happening in the car. We can give people very detailed information on engine performance, for example, translate fault codes, and yeah, we can have a user interface similar, but that works with everything, that just sorts apps, for example, and lets people use any and all apps. So I'm going to go, okay, go ahead. Did I finish?
Yeah,
okay.
Totally. I have 16 follow-up questions, but I'll share.
Okay.
Building on what Josh was saying, that might be an opportunity for a market for you, is licensing to the API to people that want to build software for the platform.
Oh yeah.
So instead of you being the one that builds it, you license the API to millions of developers that would be interested in writing custom software for their Vehroots.
Or even let the API be open and let the ecosystem draw customers into the hardware.
And then you'll drive.
You're a hardware, consumer app builders, just make people want your hardware.
Right, they'll be driving sales for your product.
So my thought on that is if you've used Android Auto, there's kind of buttons on the right, that would be our app. And everything off to the left would be everybody else. That's, we just provide a means to navigate. Yes? Oh, go ahead.
Maybe with the strip of buttons at the bottom, right? That's the main way that a person would be communicating with this, would be using this device, is that correct?
Well, you can map all of those buttons to your steering controls. So, better picture here. So all of these buttons map to the steering controls.
Yep.
So I would imagine most people, at least initially, would use the steering control buttons to manage it. And that's nice, if you have your nav up and there's a terrible song that comes on, you can just you can manage apps. One thing I didn't mention is we connect to every device in the car, too. So if you got your nav up and someone in the backseat wants to play the music, you just hit pause up here and they can jump on. But there's still reason to touch the screen from time to time, but that's okay.
Is that how those additional apps that folks are talking about would be accessed?
You would still, so these are all very common input buttons. So volume, this will skip songs or like chapters in an audiobook, or it's a forward button that works with any app, play pause. You know, that's a good point too. I try not to get too into these, but this faceplate can be replaced and the buttons can be changed to map, say, agriculture apps.
Yep.
So we're looking at that. We're looking at how, and then, yes, you manage it from the buttons, but what I found myself over time is that this is the button I almost exclusively use, that microphone button. So I'll press that and I'll say, play this song, drive to here, open this app. I mean, talking to your device is really the best way. Okay.
In that car right there, is the built-in screen just above what we're seeing? Is that where that would be?
No. So this is my wife's Subaru. The stereo that was in there just had a regular stereo and we took that out. And then this is what goes, I can pass this around if you guys want to take a look at it, stick your phone to it. This is what goes inside the dash.
Yeah, so in your wife's car, then there isn't a separate screen on the dash that came with the car?
You know, just
like all the new cars have some sort of screen up there, like you showed on your first slide, like across the whole picture.
Yeah, so we find that actually works well with what we've got. So, like in my wife's car, there is a screen above in that car that has the clock, fuel range, and that sort of data. Like in the Chevy Cruze, there's another screen that shows different data. And then in most Ford vehicles, well, most vehicles today, there's a screen behind the instrument panel. And so we don't interfere with any of that today. And so you still have all that data. We're really, at this time, just taking your infotainment system.
You know, so as I'm listening, I'm not a real tech guy, but as I'm listening to this, it sounds like you're taking a lot of information that's kind of already available, reformulating it into a format that's more user-friendly, basically, and allowing for kind of an aftermarket installation. And it makes me wonder how wide your moat is. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, if this thing takes off, instead of growing market share, is your first concern going to be the reams of competitors that are going to say, wow, this is a pretty good idea, why don't we just steal it?
So we do have some IP now that we think is very valuable. The IP talks about, or describes our methods of attachment within the dashboard. So we have a design patent and a utility patent that address our means of attachment. But going even deeper, we have found ways to put wireless charging inside the vehicle dash. Our first prototypes blew up and caught on fire because the wireless charging sent energy back into the system and exceeded the capacity of the components inside the car. That was one of the best things that happened to us because we got a lot of IP around shielding and also being able to adjust the charging position of the wireless charging. We got patents for RF shielding because when you stack wireless charging with Bluetooth components and a cell device, they all hate each other. So we've got some IP around that. And the communications piece, where we pick up the data in the car, we really, once we get a little more funding, are going to jump into that more. So Vox Electronics, for example, called me down to Florida and said, we want to license this from you. And I was really excited. I flew down there, I sat there, they had me in a room all day for 8 hours. And when I left there, what became apparent to me is what they really wanted to know is how well we were protected. They weren't interested in this. They just wanted to see, could they take this and run with it. Now we're talking about a distribution model. So, I mean, we're doing what we can to protect ourselves. But, and will we have copycats around? I think so.
I think we have time for a couple more questions, if anyone.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, you mentioned the CEA, so it's CES right now.
Well, CTA is the organization that organizes CES, but yeah.
Right, so how soon can you get out to CES to be part of this? Because, I mean, this is where, that's where you
I would think, want to go.
Yes, it is where we want to go. To date, what we have done is we've gone to trade shows like Knowledge Fest. Knowledge Fest is a lesser known trade show, but it's specifically mobile electronics, and it's 4 times a year. So we focused on those trade shows partly because it's more our target audience and it's cheaper.
Okay.
Something we can afford. But yeah, we want to go to CES, absolutely. But we don't want to go out there until we have inventory.
Got it.
Because right now, without being able to tell people when they can get it, we're kind of, even social media, we've kind of wandered into cautiously because we don't want people to get upset thinking that they're going to get this and then a year goes by and we still don't.
So next CES.
I sure hope so.
Expect to see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone, one more question? Josh? Josh, can I have?
All right, and I don't know, maybe you don't feel comfortable answering it, but just on that comment, I mean, it seems like a great story. I think the insight in the problem definition is right on, and it seems like your solution is great. What's the biggest resistance you're hearing from potential capital investors? And what do they want that you don't have?
You know, I gotta say, it's been, I think people have a hard time relaying what we're doing and relaying the story. Because we've had a couple fund managers get really excited and say, we're gonna, yes, let's talk. And then a few weeks goes by and they say, like one particular fund manager said, I just can't convince anybody on the board. And I thought, well, bring me in, let me talk to him, because obviously there's a disconnect. And I think that's, and another problem I think we're having is that we're not really doing a good job telling our story online. So when people come online and they try to look up data on us, our website's okay. But we need to make a lot of improvements there so that when people come to find out about us, there's information. It's not there.
There's probably not a lot of hardware software is raising money too, right?
Yes, I've heard over and over and over again that raising money for hardware stuff.
It's just probably a little more unknown would be my thought process. I'm curious. Just investors in the room. I mean, people know software here, right? They know obviously bio with kind of the history there, but there's not been a whole lot of companies that have done things like this.
That's a big ask too.
Yeah, I mean,
That's much bigger than you normally would have for
Yeah,
that's part of your issue.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to go from seed and just be done. But
And that's a mistake.
Yeah, that's why we brought it up.
The fact that the technology exists seems like it's significant de-risking. I mean, what you're representing is you really just need the capital to turn on a production run of what looks like a low component count build, right? I mean, you've got 2 boards in it.
Has the investor interest changed now that you've put up this pre-order and you've kind of proven that there's customers out there?
No. And there's definitely a lot of follow-on that I need to do with some investors, but it hasn't.
It seems to me the fundamental problem is it's a product that needs to be demonstrated.
Right.
I mean, if you can sit there, if you can get someone to sit in a car mock-up and say, give me your phone, put it right there, dun dun dun, holy crap, I need this now.
Yeah.
So that appears to be job 1 for you when it comes to getting relayable, is how do you create something that can tell that story in a relayable fashion to the higher-ups, you know, and I would suggest looking at your website. Is there any video on there? I just looked at it very quickly.
There are. If you scroll through, there's some videos on there.
It needs to be right up front.
I agree, 100%. And the guy who's doing our website, I've told him, we've got some videos that need to be at the top. That need to be the
Seriously,
first thing you see when
if you demonstrate it, anyone like me who's ever pulled out an old stereo, you know, going from tape to CD, who did it himself, I go, give me one of these today.
So you drive your Jeep in here, I guess.
Well, one fun.
This wasn't
Yeah, get the white Subaru.
We have prototypes available, so and we're happy. We passed them all over the world, and there's a fund manager that wants them. Here you go.
Well, and
we'll install it too.
Social media could be a huge friend there.
Yeah.
Identifying influencers within a tweaker space and give them and say, do whatever you want with it in terms of TikTok, in terms of Instagram, in terms of Facebook videos. Just get it out there. Demonstrate and tell people what you think.
Yeah.
That thing, seriously, it's...
Well, one plan has to work with Flynn on it here in town. He's showing interest. and putting it up on his wall, putting it in the car. So.
But lower your ask, fill your pre-orders, and use that. I mean, that's what fund managers or any investors going to look for.
Yeah, I think.
Traction. I mean, right now it sounds really a great story, but
Yeah.
you got to get some traction.
When you start to show it with, if there's a way, maybe you can figure out a way to deliver some of those orders, right? Like, I know you said you don't want to do a ton of pre-orders, but maybe you do some of those pre-orders, have them pay, kind of kick-started on your own a little bit.
I mean, I was just gonna say, have you thought about maybe crowdfunding as a way to break the chicken and egg problem with the production run and investment? I mean, if you told me, make a $500 commit, and when I'm able to do a production run, I'll give it to you, and hey, I don't know when that is, right? Like kind of a standard Kickstarted or crowdfunded story.
Yeah.
I don't know, honestly, like, we have 3 old cars with crappy old stacks, and for $500 to say, any member of the family can sit in, plug their phone in, and be done.
And a lot of the risk of a lot of those like crowdfunding Kickstarters, they're trying to, they don't have this yet, right? You have this, right? So like, I mean, me personally, I would feel better knowing that it's there. You just don't have the funds to build much of them, right? So you're in a little, I think, a better position from that perspective versus you have a picture of this, right?
Right.
This is what you want to do. You have a picture. Yeah, you have it in your mind. You have a picture. Now you got to figure out how to, put it together. That's a lot riskier there.
Yeah, and I think to your point, getting the money to build 1,000, which is what we've identified. We've identified that if we build 500, it costs almost the same as if we build 1,000. Going much past 1,000, our costs start to really climb, but that's the kind of the magic number.
And I know a company that a smartwatch that raised almost $3 million selling this thing to their pre-orders at a discount, raised the money, and now they're off to the races. You need to look at the same. You've got basically pre-orders that you could fulfill, just do it at a discount. That'd probably raise a ton of money there.
Then you don't have to give up 50% of your company either.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit over cost of production gives you a little extra cash, and it allows you to get, get them out there.
Equity's great, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate all the great questions. Thomas, great presentation. I think this was one of my favorite ones we've had recently. So thank you for coming. Yeah, have a good day. Thank you.